You may be here because you've learned that the secret to do extremely well in crypto. And the secret is that big gains come in crypto by researching companies that are massively undervalued, and researching to see what they're doing and to see if what they're doing will really add up to big things. The very best research, in my opinion, is interviews with a team and hearing what it is that they are doing. Today we have Daniel Paez with the marketing. He's the marketing director at Wanchain joining us. Now, Wanchain is a project I've been an investor in since 2019. And I've been following since 2018. They're also one of the very few companies that I've agreed to do a strategic partnership with because I personally like them as an investment for my own portfolio. Welcome to the Crypto Rain channel and our family. Now, have you ever worried about money? I mean, that's why you're really here, right? What if you learned to use some of your money to work for you in just the right way so that you never had to worry about money again? Isn't that why you're here? Now, I grew up poor in life and we didn't have money for anything but used clothes and the cheapest brands of everything. Pretty much my school wardrobe consisted of garage sale clothes. And growing up so poor, I realized the true value of money isn't that it creates happiness, it's that it allows us options. And having money can also decrease that gnawing worry we carry of how do we meet all these financial obligations that are essential to survival. Now, when I found crypto 8 years ago, it wasn't long before I could see that crypto investment done right had the most amazing and massive potential to allow people to catch up and to then get ahead to a place where they do not have to worry about money again. Right? After 8 years of being in crypto, I know that crypto can and will change your finances and your life, but only if you are doing the right things. While being in crypto, I learned something very scary. You see, I know people who have been here longer than I have, but aren't doing well financially yet. They're still stuck where they were back when they started. And I learned that 95% of people in crypto don't make meaningful money or flat out lose money. And it's because they're just doing it wrong. Only 5% of crypto investors make life-changing gains that take them into the lifestyle we all dreamed about as kids. Now, we all learned in life that if you find what successful people are doing and copy exactly how they do things, you start having their kind of results. So I focused 100% of everything on figuring out what those top 5% did and put it into practice myself. By 2021, using those principles, I was able to fire my day job, move to the city I wanted, and put myself in a position to never have to work again if I didn't want to. And this channel is where I share what I learned and I share my research on the companies that I like and why I like them. I particularly love interviews like this. Part of the reason I started this channel is because I wanted to be able to ask questions to the teams of the projects I really like. And that helps me make a more informed decision for my investment dollars. I'm really excited to have Wanchain here today. They're one of my favorite projects in the crypto space. And we have their new marketing director, Daniel, joining us. Let's go ahead and welcome Daniel to the stage. I'm really happy to have you here, Daniel. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, Crypto Rain, thanks for having me. Really excited to be here to answer questions and chat Wanchain's future, or the broader crypto, I think, future.
I really love seeing where Wanchain has been going the past 4 years. Some big updates, some big ones you're going to announce. But before we get into that, I want the audience to know a little bit more about your background because you have quite an interesting background, even prior to crypto, but even within crypto. You've been at some major firms like Blizzard and Activision, as well as some of the big blockchain players, Immutable X and Big Time Studios. Would you share with our audience what your background, like what brought you into crypto from such big players like Blizzard and Activision? And then why Wanchain after being with some of the big names in the crypto space?
Yeah, no, I'd love to share it. It's definitely been it's an unorthodox journey to kind of get to where I am at the moment. I'd say definitely my career started taking off when I joined Blizzard 10 years ago now. And I joined essentially to manage a lot of the pricing and promotional elements with the publishing and marketing teams. I got to work across like the big games, right? Overwatch, Hearthstone, World of Warcraft, lots of World of Warcraft. StarCraft, Diablo, all the big names, and that was phenomenal because gaming, especially folks that are big into gaming, how important communities are for the success and the health of any game. And it really helped me kind of understand uh, how to leverage community to actually grow your audience, your users, your players, versus using more traditional, let's say, ad methods. So I had a really good time there, learned a ton. I then transitioned internally to Activision to work mostly on Call of Duty, multi-billion dollars a year. That was pretty interesting because we got to see, well, I got to see at least behind the scenes that you can take a giant multi-billion dollar company and they still make a lot of mistakes because they're scared of change, let's say. And so within a year, I was realizing I was just repeating a lot of the same things I had learned at Blizzard and just applying them to Call of Duty. Got to learn a little bit more on the commercial side, which is my focus essentially. And then while I was there, I realized that I was kind of getting bored, right? To be honest, like my background is like multifaceted in both marketing and economy. Like I went to school for economics as well, and that side of things really interested me. And then I had the opportunity to jump to a small studio at the time called Big Time Studios. Right after their Series A, and I think I was employee like number 22, number 23, something like that. And I remember the conversation with Ari, the CEO, and I pretty much said, like, listen, like, I don't know much about crypto or blockchain, right? Not just that, but I haven't actually designed economies. I found ways to, make more money off your games. And after a lot of conversations, he's like, I think you could actually really enjoy this. So I took the job. I was in charge of monetization and economy. And obviously small teams wear lots of hats. So I ended up running the marketplace team for what today is known as Open Loot. And so we built and launched the first Open Loot platform. We did our giant NFT sales, at the height of the NFT boom back in 2021. Did phenomenal for the studio. Studio really got to ramp up, production of everything pretty much with what we were able to make and the community we were able to build. And I got to go head first into the deep end with crypto and blockchain, and really start from like first principles and the ground up. Because what I was seeing was a lot of projects were not, what do you call it? They were making obvious mistakes from like an economic standpoint, right? And I think your viewers probably know this. There's like tons of tokens out there that just really, they kill themselves, right? In terms of how they actually manage supply and their demand. And they never really answer the question of why would anyone buy this token? They just assume that, hey, everyone will speculate on whatever token you launch, right? And then we end up with a lot of projects end up being rug pulls, a lot of projects that end up like liquidating users that actually had conviction in the project. And since I didn't come in with that background, I kind of started almost like a newbie and just like, let me just learn everything from scratch. And it worked out so much so that the economy you see today for Big Time is nearly a mirror image of the economy I designed for over 4 years ago now. Which was really, really like validating that some of these like frameworks and assumptions I had made played out. From there, I got an offer to go to a smaller studio to learn more about game design and game development. Today's known as Sparkball, if some of you know it. This is a little while back, but while I was there, that's when Immutable reached out. And they were looking for someone to run Gods Unchained, which one of the OG games right within the blockchain space. It's the reason that Immutable X was built, essentially to support it, because it originally launched on Ethereum, right? And I took it, and that's when I relocated from the States to Australia. Worked at Immutable for just over 2 years, really Gods Unchained first, and then the other 4 games that they were building, running the economy team, as well as essentially doing the marketing for the game side. And that was very eye-opening, and because you could see how crypto as a whole was still very in its nascent stage. There's still a lot of trying to figure out, what do users actually want? What are the products that should exist, right? And you can see all the interesting cycles of everyone rushing to build a wallet, right? Everyone rushing to build a branch, everyone rushing to build like relayers, everyone rushing to do node sales, right? Like everyone just kind of like follow the leader type thing. Even when you have had successful raises and you have 200 people working in the organization, you still kind of follow the leader, right? Just try to follow narrative within crypto. After I left, I actually went to consulting for blockchain projects. And so prior to Wanchain, I've been about 6 or 7 projects that I've been helping essentially design their token narrative, their go-to-market strategy, their economy, why this token, why any other type of on-chain asset, like different types of NFTs, how to launch, what is your community composition should look like, things like that. Uh, and as though, even though consulting is incredibly fun and you never get bored because there's just so many projects, I was really, really missing seeing things kind of like end to end, right? Is like you thought it up, you design it, you make it, you launch it, you see the community talk about it, you decide next steps, and then you start building more. And so when I decided to kind of like focus on one project and talking with Wanchain, realized, it's been around for so long, right? Like 8 years now. Which is an eternity in crypto, right? 95% of the team essentially engineers, and so they've been super, super product focused. The fact that they never had a hack on their bridge, which is a tough thing to say after that long, especially in like the market for like bridges, for example. But what really drew me to them was the combination of their obsession with product performance and their obsession with this idea of interoperability. Obviously, that word has been murdered, right, over the years, but they actually had really, really, they were essentially stumbling onto what has driven their company for 8 years, which is, hey guys, like ultimately, people shouldn't care what chain what is on, right? Is that we should be looking at crypto as the internet. I don't need to go on Chrome to access certain websites and then Safari to access others, right? And then Firefox to access whatever. I just go onto the internet, right? And so at the crux of everything over 8 years, that's what they've been building towards. And as that narrative started popping into my head, I'm like, there's like something really good here. Like they can walk the walk with the product, and they're actually building something that crypto needs. And that's when I came into Wanchain. Just been over a month now. First major campaign launching, this week, and we're just really changing things up so that everyone can see what is crypto actually moving towards and why Wanchain is actually going to be bringing it towards that.
It's funny how Wanchain has set up the right pillars for what they're rolling out now, and what they're rolling out now is really exciting. I do remember way back when they launched and they said, we're going to be interoperable and we're going to help chains talk to each other and communication across chains. And back in 2017, 2018, I didn't know what that meant. I was like, okay, I think that would be necessary. But here we are today, like 8 years later, and what you guys are rolling out is really, really big. So that really people don't have to spend as much time thinking about what chain things are on, and that they can log in with their different wallets and they can just send ETH to where it's needed and convert ETH to what they need it in. Like maybe they want Bitcoin, they don't have to worry about chains as much. And I see Wanchain continuing to put that future together, especially with what you're rolling out, which is really exciting. Now, going back a little bit, Wanchain built, in my opinion, the safest and best bridge in crypto that I've seen. And then you introduced Xflow, so I can send crypto from one chain, receive it in a different crypto on a different chain, which is really cool. Like Uniswap is cool, but you can only send like ETH to like an asset on ETH to another asset on ETH, and then you have to bridge it over. Whereas Xflows is kind of like, okay, I have USDT on BNB chain. I need to get over to Polygon and USDC, and I can just do one transaction, and Wanchain handles it all in the background, and it ends up there. So now you're launching XWAN staking so that users can even be rewarded in native assets for participating in this, which is really, really cool. What can you share with us about what's going on with your new staking?
Yeah, for sure. So decentralization is kind of at the crux of how Wanchain wants to continue to evolve the industry as a whole. And even though we're seeing like the industry expand into a lot of centralized apps, for example, and a lot of institutions wanting to take part, decentralization is still at the crux of what we do. With that said, what we're going to be putting out is what we're calling XWAN staking. XWAN is essentially wrapped WAN. And what we're liking about this is that as that bridge and swap technology continues to be built out behind the scenes, We definitely want Wanchain to become a critical part of the community's involvement. And what I mean by that is we need to both build with the community as well as share with the community. And part of that is through XWAN staking. So the idea here is you can get your WAN, you can wrap it, or if you've received XWAN from your bridge to earn rewards, you can use that. And then you can actually choose one of the 4 blue chip assets that we're going to be going live with, BTC, ETH, USDT, and USDC. You can decide to stake your XWAN in one of those 4. That'll actually give you a percentage of the bridge fees in that token anytime we earn those from people using the bridge. So we've kind of aligned bridge usage to our community's ability to earn rewards a lot tighter. And what I personally like about it is that most of these staking rewards they're very inflationary, right? It's like we're going to pay you tokens from our treasury that aren't circulating, and then it's going to inflate the token. So yes, you'll get a token, but everyone's going to get to it, and then everyone's going to dump it before someone else does, right? And it's kind of very, very inflationary. While this is actually the opposite, right? We're helping to lock up WAN. We're helping to essentially wrap up that WAN into XWAN, and then you stake it, say, in BTC, and anytime people are bridging BTC or USDC, which is one of our highest volume tokens, a percentage of that fee actually goes towards those rewarding the users who have staked XWAN in that blue chip specifically. And so it gives people options. You can kind of decide how you want to allocate your XWAN across the 4 major blue chip tokens that we'll go live with. And then 2, you don't have to worry about like I got my rewards, I need to quickly dump or something like that before everyone else does. It's like no, you got BTC because you staked in BTC. You got ETH because you staked in ETH. And I think that is one step in towards aligning our communities with where we're taking Wanchain, as well as really deepening the engagement of anyone who wants to be using the bridges. Now you've got multiple reasons to like participate in lots of products, right? From now XWAN staking, bridge to earn tasks, and then we have some other interesting reward events that will occur as well, just to really help get the community excited and sharing in our journey as we move to the next phase of crypto.
So to confirm, I can take Wanchain and I can wrap it so that becomes XWAN, and then I can stake it one of those pools, and I can earn Bitcoin as a reward, or ETH as a reward, or USDT or USDT, and I can choose which of those I want based on the pool that I put in.
Yeah, pretty much. Choose how much, choose duration, right? And then you get the rewards every time that token is bridged.
Yeah, that's cool. I was also reading a recent AMA that you did that was posted on Wanchain's Twitter, where you talked about DeFi portals. Daniel, what are the DeFi portals that you were talking about there?
Yeah, no, it's a good one. I think right now, anytime, like I'll take me for an example, right? I have a Chrome group of all my crypto related tabs, right? And it includes things like CMC, it includes things like Coinbase, my MetaMask, etc. And what I realized actually, and obviously crypto Twitter, what I realized is I'm actually looking for opportunities, right? And that's when it kind of hit me that most people that are within crypto, especially the deeper they are into crypto, they're really hunting for financial opportunities, right? Essentially, the game has become very difficult in the real world. And so when we look at financial opportunities in the crypto sphere, there's still a lot of money to be had, right? Outsized returns, like you said early on, if you know what you're doing. And what I realized is, why isn't Wanchain actually part of these tabs that load up? Because we actually offer the services and products you need to go after these opportunities, right? Like you said, Explore, you bridge and swap at the same time, right? Or if you just need to bridge, you got the bridge there. If you want to earn some rewards while you're bridging anyways, okay, we have, staking. And so when I started realizing this, I'm like, why isn't there just a portal that where our product is actually supporting all the ability of users to do stuff with crypto, right? So to get their crypto where they want it, when they want it safely. why don't we just add a layer of like more information where it's like, hey guys, we want to let you know where there are DeFi opportunities in the space so that in an ideal world when we get there, which we're building technology for this, it doesn't matter what chain it's on, it doesn't matter what coin it's in. We can surface something to the user. The user can say, oh, wow, I actually really like this. I click on that opportunity. When I say opportunity, there might be an LP pool that's launched, a new staking reward program, right? Quest to earn, type all these different opportunities. You can just click on it, and then Wanchain will take care of the rest, right? You don't need to know what chain your stuff is on versus where it should be. If you're in the right, having the right token versus what you need, it really just will take care of it for you in the back end. And I think this is where we want to start heading when we look at kind of like what it called like DeFi or portals, of this idea of uh, when we decentralize and take ownership of our wealth management, we need to make sure we have the right tools and information in front of us to do it, right? And Wanchain is really well positioned to do that because it's got the harder bit already built, which is the ability to make things happen. Now we just need to make sure that we have the ability to show the information to users as well.
So if I were to summarize that, it's almost like you could make Wanchain's portal like your homepage, and basically when it comes up, you'd see different opportunities. Like some of the opportunities X staking allows is you to go ahead and stake Wanchain and get Bitcoin or ETH or some of the other things. But there will be other opportunities in there. Maybe you can earn 30% rewards in participating in some other thing. And then it would list out like what the rewards are and everything. So you could just sit there and look at it and just see DeFi opportunities right there. And because Wanchain has bridges set up and it has everything, it can then deploy the capital in the framework that it needs to. And they don't need to worry about that, because Wanchain handles a lot of that in the background. They're just like, click this opportunity. Okay, I want to move this much over there, and Wanchain's going to take care of it.
Exactly. And I think one additional layer to that is precise that Wanchain is really focused on connecting all the different corners of the blockchain sphere. And so even though you can get tons of L2s, right, on top of Ethereum, and then they build kind of their own bridges, that's a commodity, right? It doesn't really help users besides the fact of being able to move crypto into that L2. Wanchain is really focused on non-Ethereum chains as well. And so we're actually able to connect parts of the crypto sphere that might be offering like outsized returns, right? And then people don't need to then figure out, okay, but like, how do I swap into that token? Okay, is there any bridge that can get like my stuff's on, I don't know, Avalanche, right? Everybody, this might stuff so like on Abstract. How do I get my crypto from Abstract to VeChain, right? And we're currently working with another chain as well. And so since we focus on connecting these other corners of crypto that have very diehard communities and are offering outsized returns for people to move liquidity there, we have the tools you need, right, for any user. It's very hard to stay on top of everything that shows up within crypto, and most of the time, 80-90% of all the information is focused on what's hot right now, right? Versus maybe smaller things that offer outsized return, but people aren't talking about it yet.
That's really cool. Yeah. So a lot of the outsized returns are going to be on some of the smaller networks that are trying to get liquidity moved over to them. But because you have these bridges built, basically Wanchain can handle all that in the background and deploy the capital over there. Now, I heard a rumor that you're running a competition with the wrapped Wanchain launch. What is that about?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So this is something new we're going to be testing out. We actually trial run it a little bit with XDC event last week, and the reception was really positive. So the idea here is that, yes, when you stake XWAN, you get a percentage of the bridge fees as rewards in those native tokens, right? BTC, ETH, USDT, and USDC. We wanted to add one more layer on top to reward users that come in early. And what it is essentially is we'll have a $10,000 prize pool. And for users that are staking, obviously the more you stake, for the longer duration you stake, 30, 60, 90 days, you increase your odds of winning one of 10 bags of $1,000, right? Worth of rewards. So with that, this is really the idea of, hey, not only are you going to get rewards from participating in this, you might actually get bigger bags, from participating in it. And it just comes, knowing that users are within crypto to improve their financial situations, to improve like their own wealth management. It's like, hey, as Wanchain, we can help out even more than just offering our products. We want to do some more reward programs on top of that.
That's really cool. That's a lot of the questions I had prepared. Are there any kind of parting thoughts or any additional topics you want to talk about that I haven't asked about?
Yeah, I think the last one, I kind of want to summarize a little bit more on the, like I said, the DeFi portal, right? Um, we think, based on where the tech is being built and upcoming technology such as abstraction and intent, that we're moving to a world that is post-chain, very similar to like when you talk with your bank, you have no idea if they're using AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, if they have their own servers set up, right? You don't know, you don't care. It just has to work. And I think that's where we're headed. However, there are very, very few companies building the technology to power that. A lot of them are starting from scratch as well. And we inadvertently have started doing that for the last 8 years. In this post-chain world, I think we're going to start talking, losing the elements of talking about what layer things are on, which has gotten a little bit ridiculous, right? It's all L1, then L2s, then L3s, then there's a layer 0 as well. Uh, that doesn't matter to users, right? And we're going to move past that, and we're going to move to this element where the app is the layer, and that's all the users need to care about. We'll see some names, we'll play around with some names, but I would reckon that within the next 6 months, we'll see some new narratives popping up, going back to infrastructure, primarily focused around this merging of the actual layer technology with the app itself. Not even app chains specifically, but very much this element of, can I have almost like a Robinhood style app that actually does all I need to do on a decentralized approach. So I know that my money's safe, my money goes where I need it to go, when I need to go there. And I could continue to kind of enjoy this element of, there is no single actor that's going to like freeze my funds, for example, or put a flag on something. This is literally a decentralized product that is super easy to use. And I think that's the last piece of the puzzle for crypto, is how do you make this super easy to use? And Wanchain is like 95% of the way there.
Yeah, it is going that route. I do remember way back in the early days of the internet, you had to worry about what protocol things were on, and all the terms like TCP/IP were like thrown around all the time because you had to worry about that stuff. And then as it got more developed, you never had to think about that again. At most, you had to think about what website you need to go on. And now you just think about what app you're going on. And it's like crypto is going that way too. The more you'll just think about what app you're on, and you'll think about what asset you want to have. And that's just about it. And Wanchain, you're right, is one of the few. That's what I like about it. It's not only one of the few, but the technology that they've built over the past 8 years leading up to it is solid. And really, really secure. One of your scientists, Dr. Ouija, I'm trying to remember his last name, but one of the leading people in protocols in crypto and like in the world, and always speaking at all these different conferences. So what I like about Wanchain is I feel like it's the right team to build the infrastructure that needs to happen for people not to have to think about like how to move things across. They just need to worry about what assets they have and what assets they want. So, well, Daniel, thank you for joining us, sharing with us some of your thoughts on what's going on about some of these big rollouts that you guys are doing and where Wanchain is at. Thank you.
I appreciate the time. Thanks for everyone who watches this. And we are incredibly active in our Telegram group as well as our X accounts. We've actually just started doing something new, our X accounts. So definitely want to follow us there at Wanchain as our handle. And yeah, looking forward to more users coming in and just asking questions of what the hell we working on, because it's pretty exciting stuff.
It is exciting. Thank you, Daniel. We'll see you all later.